So
I'm
hopefully
glad it's fun.
it'll be uploaded. You can watch it at your convenience.
I'm sorry, Bill. I'm in that same group with Ebony and Miss Donna.
Man, who's in charge of that decision? You tell them you got a meeting you got to be at.
We're going to tell them this time.
You send your team leader to me. I'll have a talk with them.
You and her are great friends. We sure will.
Oh, wait, who is it?
Why am I trying to blank to her name? It's
Nicole and
no, not Nicole.
Lerman.
Oh,
No,
Laura.
No, Laura's not.
Her.
She's not the. No, it's Kim. Kim
oh, that's what I mean. Kim. It is Kim. It's Kim.
Oh, it's Kim Hutchins.
Yeah. And I'm looking at her email now, and it's
like
just
my
Kim.
best bud at the office. I'll have a chat with her. You guys are excused. You have a wonderful day. I'll see you in half an hour. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Real quickly, there was a little bit of a change in the GLG offering. I just want to make sure that you guys are clear on this for next week. So next week, and I just resent out the what do you call it? The week at a glance. So instead of a social media class on Tuesdays from 2 to 3, we are going to be doing an expired listing class 2 to 3 instead. Okay. So every Tuesday, rather than it being a social media class, it's going to be an expired listing class. Obviously, that's free. The link I will include in the Sunday email. It's probably the same link, although I'll double check this, as the high accountability group. But I'll make sure it's nice and clear for everybody. And then instead of doing 10:30 to 11 for Friday's tech session for half an hour with Sam, we're actually going to do 11 to 12 with Sam on Friday, and it's going to be tech and social media together. So we'll double the amount of time we get from Sam, and it'll include some social media content too. For the couple people that have coaching sessions between, I don't think there's anyone on this call that does, but there's a few of you that have coaching sessions between 11 and 12 on Friday. If you would like to move those as a result of that, I understand. Just reach out to me. Okay. We are back to launch Mastermind. So let's review what the Mastermind is all about. This is a forum for agents to come in and talk about the things that they're experiencing. The good, the bad, the ugly, the challenges, the excitement. The growth, or I'm sorry, the launch group is really the like 0 to 3 units. Jenny, don't leave. Okay. And agents that are in that kind of world, right? They're dealing with all the things that happen to agents that are in that realm, and all the exciting things and struggling things that those agents might encounter. So I want to give everyone a forum to interact and to get help. For the last little while, we've been talking about contracts. More than happy to continue that dialogue. Is there anybody on the call that wants to, that has another, oh, Jenny left anyway. Scared her away, I guess. That has anything else that they want to discuss? And then John, I'm going to put you on the spot for 1 minute before we go in. Okay. Anyone else have anything that's pressing that they want to talk about?
I just have a quick question.
We'll come back to you, Mary. Go ahead.
So my sellers from yesterday, the ones that I called for Bold 100,
yeah,
they're trying to move to the Midlands, UK. So do we have any like specific connection over there, or do you know how I would maybe get in contact with an agent for a referral?
Good question. So you can go to, I don't know where the Midlands is in the UK, but if you go to KW Worldwide, so KW Worldwide, I'll put it in the chat room real fast. That is where we have exposure internationally. Okay, we are now in 50 regions, including the United States and Canada, including the UK. Interestingly enough, one of our agents, Joanne Curtin, I believe is still her and her husband are part owners of the Market Center in Leeds, UK. And we've got a number of connections. I'm a part owner in Israel. Loredana's a part owner in some things in Romania. We've got a few different connections in the Georgia Legacy Group. We've got some agents that are part owners in Mexico City. Anyway, if you have a need in that town or in that country, you can reach out to the local leadership there, and they can
Okay.
point you in the right direction. But by no means are you obligated to use Keller Williams. The reason why, of course, we promote that, and same thing would be the case if you were to send a lead to, Maryland or something, is because we know that these are learning-based agents, right? That believe in the things that we believe in, that exhibit our belief system, that are tech-driven and learning-based, and they want to help their people, and they come from contribution and all that kind of stuff. But by no means are you required to use KW. There's areas that KW is not in, right? I sent a referral recently to like a town in like way northern Georgia, like real close to the North Carolina border. And we didn't have a Keller Williams there, so I sent it to like Century 21 or something. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. Hey, John came into the office today and hung out with Paul Tully and some of the other folks that were in the office, Galantis and Rose and Cassandra and a couple others. John, can you just share your experience for a moment? How did you feel about today's experience?
Well, for me personally, it could be potentially game changing. Everything that you've heard about Paul is true. I really had a firsthand, just opportunity to be next to him for a few hours, and I saw Aubrey coming into the building actually, and I asked Aubrey, I says, "Is this building big enough to hold yours and Paul's energy?" Because it was just remarkable. And for me personally, where I am kind of as a new agent, what I'm looking for, it was really beneficial. Just the way he went through his business with the cold calling, what he said, how he said it, his approach to business, everything. It was a really good 2 hours.
So 2 follow-up questions. First of all is you could adopt, let's just assume you didn't want to do any cold calling. Okay, let's just assume you didn't want to call a single stranger. Everything you saw him do could be done with Mets or close people that you're in.
Absolutely, just his mindset. Yeah, it wasn't just cold calling, just his overall mindset, his demeanor, how he said things, when he said, just his overall mindset was applicable anywhere in the industry.
So what's the one thing that you took from today that you've just been racking your brain over the last 2 hours with? Like, is there something he said? Is there like a feeling you have now? Are you a bigger thinker? Like, give us.
He said what 1,000 people have said before. You just have to work hard. He says just show up on Monday, and just do it. Just do it.
It's a job. Like you have to treat it like a job.
Yeah.
You have to treat it like a job. All right, Mary, I think you were trying to say something a second ago. What was on your mind?
I was going to ask, I was on the call with the notice of default. Where do we find that, Bill?
I need to look into that. I believe it's one of those lists that he talked about at the team meeting the other day that you could access. What was the name of that website? I think it was called listreports.com or listreports.org or something. I'm going to make a note to notice. I will get that information for you. Those are lists that I suspect are just available for purchase. And
I'm on List Report. List Reports, I think, is more marketing. I'm on listreports.com.
Isn't it just buying a list of whatever you want? It's like I got a list of these type of business owners and people that are, non-owner occupants or people that we, just refinanced or haven't refinanced in a certain amount of time.
That could be listreports.com. Then yeah, listreports.com, all one word.
Okay, so you can check there, but let me confirm that that's where it's at. Okay.
Okay. And then can I have a second question?
Yeah, just one more thing on that question. Remember, that is a very delicate conversation.
Yes.
Right. Aubrey talked extensively about that on Tuesday, right? These are people that, their full lives are literally on shaky ground, right? These are people that are, I've got to assume they're very skeptical of everyone that's calling, pretending to want to help, right? And by the way, they're probably getting a bunch of calls all day from people that owe them money or they're owed money to, right? So like, this is a whole different skill set. Okay, second question, sorry.
Second question was, I took the training that Aubrey had for the short sales.
Yeah.
But he spoke just a couple minutes ago about being certified for short sales. How do you get certified?
That was, he was referring, I mean, he got that over 10 years ago. So you could probably just Google short sale certification programs or something. I imagine there's people that are offering certifications like that. Truthfully, I don't know that I would go in that direction right this second, at least not this moment, right?
Mhm.
I might suggest something differently 3 months from now or 6 months from now. There's just such, like, it's less than like half of 1% of properties that are short
I was
selling.
just trying to prepare in case something happens next year, just trying to get ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can be learned. And my only fear would be that if you everyone else be happy to sell you something, sell you some certification, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know that I might put that in the budget for next year, but I would say that's probably towards the bottom of the priority list. And the reason why I say that, by the way, is because so many people have equity. The way that the market was different 12 years ago is that nobody had equity. You guys remember this
Right.
morning when I said I'd sit down with somebody and say, okay, all the stats say we're good at 230, and they're like, you remember how I told you I bought this place for 350 2 years ago, right? They have negative equity.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I could go into somebody's house and they're like, hey, I just lost my job. I can't afford my mortgage anymore. And I say, great. I mean, not great, but like, okay, well, your home is worth about 300. You know, you bought 4 years ago, you probably paid 240 for it. So we're not gonna short sell the home. You don't need to short sell the home. And we're not
Right.
gonna let it go to foreclosure because you may as well sell, take your equity and go buy something smaller or go rent something for a little while, right? So it's a different set of circumstances that agents find themselves in, or that owners find themselves in. At the end of the day, having a kind of a baseline education about short sales is probably sufficient for now.
Okay.
And I'll give you the baseline education in 30 seconds, which is a short sale occurs when the value of the property is lower than the mortgage amount on the property, or the combination of the mortgage amounts on the property, like if there's a second lien or something like that, right? So if you were to market the home for sale and sell it for market value, there would not be enough coming in order to pay off the existing debts. And there also wouldn't be enough money to pay the agents that were involved either. And so what the idea of a short sale is, you get an offer for what the market says the place is worth. Let's just say in this scenario, it's 240 and the debt's 300. Okay. Then you go to the bank and you say, look, I don't have a job and you're not gonna be seeing any payments from me because I don't have any money. And so this is what the property is worth. Would you prefer to sell it to me, or would you allow me to sell it for less than what's owed and you just write off the difference? Or would you prefer to have the home as a bank-owned property? Right? Because I ain't got no
Right.
money. Right? So that's essentially the conversation. And in order for the bank to agree to that, they're going to take a considerable amount of time to do their research to make sure that everything that they're being told is accurate, right? And the idea is, generally speaking, for a bank, it is more advantageous for them to allow the home to be sold short than the costly loss of having to go through the foreclosure issue, the foreclosure process. So in short, that is what a short sale is. There are so few parts of town right now that, I mean, home prices are the highest they've been ever, maybe, right? So under very, very small circumstances, would you be meeting a client or meeting a prospective seller that has lost equity? Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? There also,
Yes.
what was very common 10, 12 years ago, where you'd go and refi and pull out cash and, stated income loans and all that stuff, where you could, be no offense, a hairstylist and claim that you make 400 grand and buy $1 million house. Like, that stuff was happening 10 years ago. That ain't happening now. It's also pretty costly and pretty rare to be refinancing and pulling every nickel of equity out, right? That makes sense?
Yes. Mhm.
And if, by the way, you know any hairstylists that are making 400 grand, you should invite them to become a real estate agent. Okay, what other questions do we have? Okay, let me ask you a question. If this weekend somebody says to you, here's a house, write it up, right? I want you to write an offer on this property. Are you in a place where you could do that? Meaning, do you have the, is DocuSign connected to Command? Do you know what contracts to use? Have you read through the contracts? Do you feel like you could explain the why certain things are filled out the way they're filled out? How do we feel? What's our comfort level on putting together an offer and feeling confident about it?
That's actually a very good conversation. Greta and I were talking about that this morning when we were having our script practice.
Okay.
And I took a FMLS class this week on their system.
Yep.
We do it first in FML, and Greg and I were discussing it this morning. So you explain step by step, once we get a contract, where it goes first, where it goes next. Can you walk us through that? Because she and I have a little misunderstanding about it.
When you say where it goes first, what do you mean? Like where you write it?
Where you write it first, where you put it would be FLMS first or DocuSign first.
So FMLS is not, well, let me rephrase that. You, as a KW agent in Roswell, you are basically required to do your commission agreement in DocuSign.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You are not
Yeah.
technically obligated to run everything through DocuSign. It just needs to appear there for you to be paid, right? So it's possible for you just to upload all the documents and stay compliant. So if you use Dotloop or Remind or RDocs or whatever it's called, right? You can do it there if you prefer. I think the easiest way to do it is start and finish, do everything within DocuSign. So you log it, you connect your DocuSign to your command, you bring in all your appropriate documents like the buyer brokerage agreement and the, protect yourself when buying a home agreement and the purchase sale agreement, the financing agreement and all that stuff. You complete it all in DocuSign and then it's housed there for signatures and for compliance. FMLS, I mean, I only use FMLS to get the data, right? To say, okay, well, here's the homes that are selling for this price, and here's the homes that are selling for that price. So you don't really need to do anything contractually in FMLS or put it there.
Okay,
There was.
yes,
but
it
there
makes
was a-
sense.
Go on.
I was going to say, and what they were explaining on the Remind training was that you cannot make a mistake on the contract if you use FMLS. It won't allow you.
To do what?
What they were explaining in Remind in the class was that you cannot make a mistake in the contract if you use FMLS. And FMLS will not allow you to finish the contract. It will tell you, you've left out these things. You need to go back and redo this. So that was what we were talking about this morning. I've never used DocuSign. Okay. So does DocuSign also have that, Bill, that it will not let you move forward?
I don't think so.
I'm not aware of that. I don't think they do.
Okay.
And remember, the Remind classes are being taught citywide, and therefore, the agents don't have access to DocuSign, or they don't even have access to Command or anything like that. So they're essentially selling their software. Right, or not selling it, but they're making their software available because they're teaching to agents at Remax and Virtual Properties and Coldwell Banker and all the other places, right? So the Remind training that I think is most applicable for you being at Keller Williams is just how to use their software for kind of using the data and comps and presentations and these kind of tax records and that kind of stuff. However, if you love their system and that's where you want to be, I'm totally fine with that. And I mean, who am I to judge it? But you're totally fine to do that. When it's all said and done with, you got to upload it into DocuSign. So what I would recommend is there was I think I uploaded didn't I upload a document to the group a few days ago about like a command?
Yes, you did, Bill. DocuSign to Command. It was a nice flow chart.
Yeah, it looks like this.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yep,
Okay.
I have that.
Could you, John, can you repost that in the group, and just do it in the announcements group if you don't mind?
Doing in which group?
The announcements one?
Announcements? Sure.
So that walks you through, it's called How to Use DocuSign and Command, and it basically is a full flow chart, right?
Okay, great.
From drawing in contracts and all that kind of stuff. Also, of course, there is, Sam has like an eight or nine video series about connecting DocuSign and Command and making sure that you know how to draw in and how to get signatures and how to upload to the envelope and all that kind of stuff. But if you do have an interest, my recommendation is if you do have an interest in using DocuSign, which I do recommend, don't learn how to do it when everyone's breathing down your neck to get the signature out, right? So
Right.
if you would like to put together like a mock offer, I'm more than happy. I'll make this quick because I know you guys want to get to 3612.3. Let's just pretend like you just want to pick a random property in MLS or FMLS. Okay. Let's just pretend that the buyer is a 10% down, so 90% loan, 10% down, 90% loan, conventional buyer. Okay. Go ahead and send me, if you'd like, a mock offer. Okay. The mock offer should include the purchase and sale agreement, the buyer brokerage agreement. You don't technically send the buyer brokerage agreement as part of the offer, but go ahead and fill it out so I can watch you do it, right? So buyer brokerage agreement, purchase and sale agreement, conventional loan exhibit, and you don't necessarily have to deal with the disclosures, but you would have a community association disclosure filled out from the seller, assuming that it was in a community with an HOA, and you would have a seller's property disclosure statement. If the property was built prior to 1978, you would also have a lead-based paint disclosure exhibit. Okay, but let's just keep it simple for now. Let's do buyer brokerage, purchase and sale, conventional loan. Okay.
Okay.
Feel free to send it to me. I'll walk you through all of your the stuff you did well and the stuff we need to adjust. And because what I want you to do is a lot of times we're hesitant to make the calls because we don't know what to say. We're hesitant to book the appointments because we're not practiced enough on the presentations, right? And we may even be reluctant to go out and close an additional time or handle that objection for fear that they might say, write it up, and then we don't even know what to do, right? So I want to get rid of all of those hesitations so that you know exactly what to say to get the appointment. You know exactly to say what when you're on the appointment, and so that you you feel comfortable with the paperwork. Okay.
Okay.
All right, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful weekend. If you need anything from me at any time, please feel free to reach out. And as always, it's a pleasure to be in business with you guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.